Good day, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you. Today, my guest, well, from Black Sky Project, we've got Lorre Black, and we have our resident historian in Fayette County, the famous Mr. Paul LaRue. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Great, Harry.
So you haven't been teaching for a while. Well, I'm going to skip with Paul LaRue for just a second. Haven't been teaching for what you've been doing?
I've been staying busy, do a lot of speaking. I'm working with teachers around the country as well as developing educational material, a lot of things, especially with the World War I centennial.
You know, Paul and I are history geeks, and whenever we need to sit down just someday because an hour we were out there chit-chatting for a while, but, you know, we love history, and we were talking about the fact how it repeats itself all the time, and most people don't recognize it.
Hey, that's a great lead into the solar eclipse.
I know, because this is something that doesn't happen regularly, but it happens a lot throughout history, and many, many events have been tied to it, and we get a chance to see one on, about 90% of one on Monday.
That's correct. The Great American Solar Eclipse is going to be on Monday, August 21st. It's from 12 to 4. So please come, have your lunch hour. There's going to be a wonderful food truck there serving lots of delicious food. The music's going to be fantastic. It's going to be centered around wonderful songs that deal with the sun and the moon and the stars, and there are a lot of them. We're also going to throw in some history. There's going to be some music from 1918, which will kind of give you a feel about what people were listening to the last time this occurred. And there's going to be actually music of the sun, some recordings of what the sun sounds like. There's going to be a live telescope, live images projected in the large shelter house on a TV screen as well.
So you're going to be able to see a telescope's view of what's going on the sun.
That is correct.
That way you don't have to look at the sun.
That is correct. And do you like my hat?
Now, you're wondering what she's doing with a colander, because I kind of figured out I didn't know whether she was going to go pick vegetables afterwards or what, but there's a reason.
There is a reason. Everybody bring your own colander. It's a fabulous tool to simply hold up under the sun, and you will be able to see the crescent-shaped shadow of the sun, of the moon traversing the sun, creating that crescent shape, and it will show through the holes of the colander. And it's a phenomenon because it's the only day it's going to happen, and it's a way to sort of focus on what's happening on the earth versus looking and staring at the sun. And you're going to want to look at the sun. Free solar eclipse glasses, certified, the real deal. But you're also going to want to see what's happening on the ground, because the leaves act like filters that will show energy and show the crescent shape of the shadow of the sun, and a colander will work as well. So you don't have to wear them on your heads, you just have to bring them so you can see the shadows on the ground.
Wasn't there a movie somewhere where they wore the colanders on their heads to keep the aliens from reading their thoughts? I thought maybe that might be the aliens are reading their thoughts. David, that's not good. The aliens are going to read our thoughts. But how interesting. I have never, ever, ever heard about the colander and being able to see the crescent of the sun.
It's true, and I learned it from Dean Regas, the astronomer at the Cincinnati Observatory. So it's a true fact.
All right. So throughout history, events. I can imagine, 20,000 years ago when the sky goes dark. What did they? Yeah, it's amazing what they thought. But Mr. LaRue, how many solar eclipses have we had, and when's the next one?
Well, it's interesting. In the world, there are 2 to 5 solar eclipses every year. So it's kind of interesting. We think it's an incredibly rare event. It's really just about the path of the eclipse, so it actually happens. And astronomers for a long time have understood. You can go back to 1890, and astronomers using algebra and geometry could calculate what day the solar eclipse was going to be, and they could calculate the center to within 1 kilometer, almost a half a mile. So again, we somehow think that this is all something that came about because of NASA, but really astronomers have been aware of this for a very, very long time.
And it has such an important prominence that they took the time and energy. I can imagine mathematical calculations in 1890 were not as easy as they are today, just by pushing a few buttons, but they took the time to do it. It was very important.
Absolutely. And so they could predict, in fact, just 3 solar eclipses in the not too distant past. In 1878, was a solar eclipse that young Thomas Edison attended. he, along with a group, went to, it was a Wyoming territory, which, is now the state of Wyoming. But he actually did experiments. And again, because they knew it was a total solar eclipse.
It's kind of like this experiment here with the colander. I mean, there's probably some things that they wanted to say, hey, will this work? Not knowing as much about astronomy as we do today, that it's simply just the moon passing between the Earth and the sun. They probably thought it was a little bit more.
Correct. And I remember I heard supposedly Thomas Edison got an idea for the light bulb after seeing a solar eclipse.
I love his quote. I didn't invent the light bulb. I invented 10,000 ways not to invent a light bulb. I love that because, when you're doing it with experiments, that's the way it is. But you space geeks out there, or, if you just need some time off work on a Monday afternoon, it's at Washington Park, which is right across from Iman Parks where the pool used to be, and a lot of fun and festivities.
Yes, it's going to be really fun. It's a way to get the community together. That's what it's all about. It's about coming together along with 300 other million people that are going to be watching the eclipse over our country, because it is crossing America from ocean to ocean. And that's what we want to do.
I like the whole idea about getting the community together. Mr. LaRue and I were talking, I bet you 10,000 years ago, when the people were milling around doing whatever they did, when that sky went dark, they stopped and they all kind of looked up and they were together as a community, and that's how we can watch it this year.
Well, and I mentioned to Lori, I give her a real shout out and credit for, this is a real organic, authentic event. I was up in Bloomingburg over the weekend for their community days, and, lots of times people think it takes, $1 million or this or that, and it really just takes people with some initiative. And again, Lori was, just kind of decided to do this. And those, to me, are the most organic and the most authentic activities that a community can do. And,
this isn't when's it going to happen again? Like 70 years from now?
Well, actually, in 2024, we'll be able to see a full 100% eclipse from Cleveland. It's going to be going over northern Ohio, but it's going to be different because it's not going to traverse the United States like this one. But there will be an opportunity, and I'm going to that one because I really want to experience 100%.
You must really, because if you want to go to Cleveland, I mean, the only thing that could be worse would be saying, hey, in Detroit, they're going to have a total eclipse. Well, it can happen without me. I'm not going to Detroit. But you must really, you're going to Cleveland. That lady wants to see 100% one. But 90% is going to darken the sky.
Okay, I do want to tell people it's not going to be maybe as dark as you think. Our sun's source is so bright that even though 90% is going to be covered, it's still going to be light. It's going to be dark. It's going to be weird. It's going to feel funny, but it will not be like 100% coverage.
I'm sure animals are probably going to be affected by it. And like you said, there's some elite plants. I mean, they're used to getting that steady sunshine, and all of a sudden it's cut off, or 90% of it's cut off. I bet you it will be a weird effect.
Yes, it'll feel really different, and again, phenomena is going to be happening, like the leaves acting as filters and you can see different shadows on the ground, and you can see like energy waves. So it is going to feel differently, and the birds probably won't know what to do for a minute. We won't know what to do for a minute.
Well, we're going to just stop and stare. I'm probably look at the screen instead of the sun. I mean, burnt retinas don't really thrill me.
No. We have to be very cautious, but I don't want people to live in fear either. I've heard some people say they're not going to let their children out that day. In my opinion, that's ridiculous. They have to go out every day. You can't look at the sun. It shines every day. And you trust your children not to stare at the sun. You've got to trust your children to use the glasses and use them wisely and follow instructions. And we're going to make a memory for people. This is a day that they are never going to forget. And we want children of all ages to be a part of this and be a part of history.
So come on out, like she said, take your lunch hour. I think the eclipse is right around 2:30.
That's correct. The darkest part.
The darkest part's 2:30, but it's 2 to 4. It's at Washington Park, where the pool used to be, in Courthouse, right across from Iman Park. Come on into town, have some fun, have some food, hang out, hear what Mr. LaRue's got to say. It's always interesting. I will bet that right now. Thank you, too, though, for taking time out of your busy day and visiting with us.
Thank you. And I want to say it's 12 to 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, 12 to 4, not 2 to 4.
Yes.
You need to get there early for lunch.
That's correct. Yes.
That's why it's a
Get
good way.
spot on the lawn and bring your blankets or a chair and your colander.
Okay, lawn chair, blanket, colander. We got it all. Thank you, Lori. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks, Harry.